The rain was coming down hard that October night, the kind of rain that soaks you through in seconds. Rachel pulled her jacket tighter as she hurried down the dark street, her feet aching after another 12-hour shift at the hospital. Being a nurse was rewarding, sure, but it was also exhausting, especially when you were doing it alone, raising a kid on your own, trying to keep everything together with barely enough money to make it through each month. She was thinking about her daughter Lily, probably already asleep at her neighbor's place. The neighbor watched Lily whenever Rachel worked late, which was pretty much every other day now. Rachel felt guilty about it, but what choice did she have? The bills didn't pay themselves, and that small apartment in Chicago wasn't getting any cheaper. As she turned the corner near the old convenience store, she almost didn't see her. A young girl, maybe 16 or 17, was sitting on the ground with her back against the store's metal shutters. She was soaking wet, her dark hair plastered to her face, and she was shaking from the cold. The girl had a backpack clutched to her chest like it was the only thing in the world that mattered to her. Rachel should have kept walking. She knew she should have. She had $40 in her wallet, and that had to last until Friday. She had groceries to buy. Lily needed new shoes because her toes were pushing through the old ones and the electric bill was due. But something made her stop. Maybe it was the way the girl was sitting there, trying to make herself as small as possible, like she was apologizing for taking up space in the world. Maybe it was because the girl reminded her of someone, though Rachel couldn't quite place who. She walked over and stood there for a moment, rain dripping from her hair. The girl looked up, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hope that broke Rachel's heart. "Hey," Rachel said softly. "You okay?" The girl nodded quickly, but her teeth were chattering so hard she could barely speak. "I'm fine. Just waiting for the rain to stop." Rachel looked at the dark sky. The rain wasn't stopping anytime soon. "Have you eaten today?" The girl hesitated, then shook her head slightly. Rachel could see the pride fighting with hunger in her expression. She'd seen that look before in the mirror years ago when she was struggling to make it on her own. "Come on," Rachel said, surprising herself. "There's a diner down the street. Let me buy you something hot to eat." "I don't have any money," the girl said quickly. "I didn't ask if you did," Rachel replied, holding out her hand. "I'm Rachel." The girl stared at her hand for a long moment like she was trying to figure out what the catch was. Finally, she took it. "I'm Sophia." They walked to the diner in silence, Rachel's umbrella doing little to keep either of them dry. The place was nearly empty, just a tired-looking waitress and an old man nursing a cup of coffee at the counter. They slid into a booth and Rachel ordered burgers, fries, and hot chocolate for both of them. She tried not to think about how this meal was eating into her grocery money. Sophia ate like she hadn't seen food in days, which she probably hadn't. Rachel watched her, remembering what it felt like to be that hungry, that desperate, that alone. When Sophia finally slowed down, Rachel asked gently, "Where are you staying?" Sophia's eyes dropped to her plate. "Around. Shelters mostly when there's space. Sometimes the bus station." "What about your family?" "Don't have one," Sophia said quietly. "Well, I had foster families, but I aged out 6 months ago. Turned 18 and suddenly I was on my own." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "They prepare you for a lot of things in foster care, but they don't really prepare you for this." Rachel felt something crack inside her chest. "What about a job?" "I've been trying, but everyone wants an address, references, work history. How am I supposed to get any of that when I don't have a place to live?" Sophia's voice was steady, but Rachel could hear the exhaustion underneath. "I'm not complaining. I'm surviving. I just need to figure things out." Rachel should have said something encouraging, wished her luck, paid for the meal, and gone home. That would have been the sensible thing to do. She had her own daughter to think about, her own struggles. Taking on someone else's problems when she could barely manage her own wasn't smart. But Rachel had never been particularly smart when it came to helping people. It was probably why she became a nurse in the first place. "Do you have somewhere to sleep tonight?" she asked. Sophia shrugged. "I'll find somewhere. There's a spot under the bridge that stays pretty dry." Rachel made a decision that she knew she'd probably regret. "Come home with me. Just for tonight. You can sleep on the couch, get a hot shower, and we'll figure something out in the morning." Sophia's head snapped up, her eyes searching Rachel's face for the trick, the angle, the thing that was going to cost her. "Why would you do that?" "You don't even know me." "I know enough," Rachel said. "I know you're a kid who needs help. And I know what it's like to need help and not have anyone offer it. I'm not a kid. I'm 18. Exactly, Rachel said with a small smile. A kid. Sophia's eyes filled with tears and she blinked them back quickly. Just one night? Just one night, Rachel agreed, though somewhere deep down, she already knew she was lying to both of them. They took the bus back to Rachel's apartment, a small 2-bedroom place that Rachel could barely afford. It wasn't much, but it was clean and warm and safe. When they walked in, Lily was asleep on the couch. Rachel's neighbor, Mrs. Chen, was dozing in the armchair with the TV on low. Mrs. Chen woke up when they came in, looking at Sophia with curious eyes. Rachel thanked her and promised to explain later. After Mrs. Chen left, Rachel carried Lily to her bedroom and came back to find Sophia standing in the middle of the living room, looking lost. Bathroom's down the hall, Rachel said. There are towels in the closet. I'll find you some dry clothes. While Sophia showered, Rachel dug through her drawers and found an old sweatshirt and some sweatpants. She made up the couch with sheets and a blanket, trying not to think about how she was going to explain this to Lily in the morning, trying not to think about what she'd just gotten herself into. When Sophia came out clean and dry and looking younger than before, Rachel handed her the clothes. They'll be too big, but they're warm. Thank you, Sophia whispered. I don't know how to thank you. Get some sleep, Rachel said. We'll talk in the morning. Rachel went to her room, but she couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain still pounding against the windows. She thought about the $40 in her wallet, about the bills piled on her kitchen counter, about Lily's shoes and the groceries and how they were going to make it through another month. But she also thought about Sophia, alone on the streets, and knew she'd made the right choice, even if it was going to make everything harder, even if it was going to cost her more than she could afford. She had no idea just how much it would cost, or how much it would change everything. One night turned into 3. 3 nights turned into a week. And before Rachel quite understood how it happened, Sophia had been living on her couch for over a month. It wasn't planned. That first morning, Rachel had made breakfast and sat down with Sophia to talk about options, shelters, youth programs, job resources. But as they talked, Rachel realized just how broken the system was for kids like Sophia. The shelters were overcrowded and often unsafe. The youth programs had waiting lists months long, and getting a job without an address or references felt impossible. Just stay a few more days, Rachel heard herself saying, until we figure something better out. Lily, her 8-year-old daughter, had been surprisingly okay with it. In fact, she seemed thrilled to have someone else in the apartment. She'd never had a big sister, and Sophia was patient with her constant questions and endless energy. But the reality of having an extra person in their tiny apartment hit Rachel hard and fast. The grocery bill doubled. Rachel found herself at the store every few days, watching the total climb higher and higher at the checkout. She started buying the cheapest versions of everything, stretching meals as far as they would go. Pasta became a staple. So did rice and beans. She stopped buying the fresh fruit Lily loved because it was too expensive. Then came the knock on the door from her landlord. Mr. Peterson, a stern man who didn't miss anything happening in his building. Mrs. Torres, he said, though Rachel had told him 100 times she wasn't married anymore. I've noticed you have an additional occupant. Rachel's heart sank. She's just staying temporarily while she gets on her feet. The lease says 2 occupants. You and your daughter. Anyone else and the rent goes up $200 a month. Fire codes, you understand? $200. Rachel felt sick. Can you give me some time to figure this out? I can give you until the 1st of next month. After that, either she goes or the rent goes up. That night, Rachel sat at her kitchen table with a calculator and a stack of bills, trying to make the numbers work. They didn't. No matter how she added and subtracted, moved things around, there wasn't enough money. She was already working every shift she could get at the hospital. She'd already cut back on everything possible. She could tell Sophia to leave. That would be the reasonable thing to do. She'd tried to help, but she had to think of Lily first. That's what any parent would say. But when she looked at Sophia, sleeping peacefully on the couch for the first time in months, Rachel couldn't do it. She picked up extra shifts. The night shifts paid a little more, so she started working those, even though it meant being exhausted all day. Mrs. Chen, bless her heart, watched Lily more often, refusing to take extra payment even though Rachel tried to give it to her. Rachel started skipping lunch at work, then breakfast too. She told herself it was fine. that she wasn't that hungry anyway, that the girls needed the food more than she did. Coffee became her main food group. Her scrub started hanging looser on her frame. Her coworkers noticed. "Rachel, you okay?" her friend Patricia asked one day in the break room. "You look exhausted." "I'm fine," Rachel lied. "Just busy. You're working too many shifts. You're going to burn out." Rachel just smiled and changed the subject. She couldn't explain. Couldn't tell them she was supporting a homeless teenager she barely knew. They'd think she was crazy. Maybe she was. Meanwhile, Sophia was trying. She really was. Rachel helped her enroll in a GED program at the community center, and Sophia threw herself into it with determination that amazed Rachel. She also found a part-time job at a bookstore, just minimum wage and only 15 hours a week, but it was something. She gave every penny to Rachel for rent and groceries. "Keep some for yourself," Rachel told her. "I don't need anything," Sophia insisted. "You're already doing so much." But Rachel knew it wasn't enough. Not for what Sophia really needed. Not for the future she deserved. Things came to a head 3 months in. Lily came home from school crying, holding her mouth. Rachel's stomach dropped. "What happened, sweetie?" "My tooth hurts really bad, Mama." Rachel looked in her mouth and felt her world tilt. Lily's back molar was badly decayed, probably from all those cavities Rachel couldn't afford to get filled last year. She'd been meaning to take her to the dentist, but dental insurance didn't cover much and she kept putting it off. She couldn't put it off anymore. The dentist visit was a nightmare. Emergency root canal and crown, $1,500 even with insurance. Payment was due up front. Rachel sat in the parking lot after the appointment. Lily dozed off from the pain medication in the back seat and cried. She didn't have $1,500. She didn't have $500. She had maybe $200 in savings, and that was supposed to be for emergencies. Well, this was an emergency. She thought about her mother's necklace, the one sitting in her jewelry box at home. A strand of real pearls her mother had given her before she died. "Save these for something important," her mother had said. Rachel had always imagined she'd give them to Lily someday, maybe for her wedding. But Lily's health was more important than a necklace. She sold it the next day to a jewelry store downtown. They gave her $800, probably less than half what it was worth, but she didn't have time to haggle or find a better deal. She used the money from her savings account to make up the difference. The procedure was scheduled for the following week. Rachel breathed a sigh of relief, even as her heart broke a little over the necklace. But then her car started making a terrible grinding noise on the way home from the hospital one night. The mechanic said it was the transmission. $3,000 to fix. Rachel stood in that garage under the harsh fluorescent lights and felt everything crumble. She didn't have $3,000. She didn't have $300. She'd just spent everything on Lily's tooth. "How much can I get if I sell it?" she asked. The mechanic looked at her old Honda, at least 15 years old with dents and rust spots. "Maybe $500 if you're lucky." She sold it that week for $450. Now she took the bus to work. 2 buses, actually. What used to be a 20-minute drive became an hour-and-a-half commute each way. She had to leave earlier, get home later. Mrs. Chen started keeping Lily overnight when Rachel worked night shifts. Rachel's life became a blur of buses and hospital hallways, an exhaustion so deep it felt like drowning. Sophia noticed. How could she not? One night, Rachel came home at midnight from a double shift, soaked from the rain because she'd missed the last bus and had to walk part of the way. Sophia was still awake, studying at the kitchen table. She took one look at Rachel and her face crumpled. "This is because of me." "No," Rachel said automatically. "Don't lie to me. You sold your car. You're working yourself to death. I see you, Rachel. You barely eat. You're exhausted all the time." Tears were streaming down Sophia's face. "I should leave. You were fine before I showed up." Rachel sat down heavily in a chair. She was too tired to lie. "You're right. Things are harder now. A lot harder." Sophia stood up. "I'll pack my stuff." "Sit down," Rachel said firmly. "I'm not done talking." Sophia sat, looking miserable. "Yes, things are harder," Rachel continued. "But do you know what's also true? Lily has never been happier. She loves having you here, and watching you work so hard for your GED, seeing you save every penny, being so grateful for everything even though you shouldn't have to be grateful for basic kindness. That means something. But you're suffering because of me. I'm struggling, Rachel corrected. There's a difference. And I'm choosing this. You're not making me do anything. I'm choosing to help you because I can, and because it's the right thing to do, and because when I was younger I needed help and nobody gave it to me. I don't want that to be your story. I don't know how I'll ever pay you back, Sophia whispered. You don't have to pay me back. That's not how this works. But Rachel's body was starting to disagree. The exhaustion, the stress, the skipped meals, it was all catching up with her. She started getting headaches that wouldn't go away. Her blood pressure, which had always been fine, was suddenly too high. The doctor at work took one look at her during a routine check and ordered her to take time off. You're running yourself into the ground, Dr. Morrison said. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. You need to rest, reduce stress, and start taking care of yourself. I can't afford to take time off, Rachel said. You can't afford not to, he replied seriously. Rachel, I'm not kidding. If you keep going like this, you're going to end up as a patient instead of a nurse. She ignored his advice. She didn't have a choice. 2 weeks later, she collapsed at the nurse's station during her shift. 1 minute she was standing there updating a patient chart. The next she was on the floor with her co-workers crowding around her. Patricia calling her name. She woke up in a hospital bed with an IV in her arm. Dehydration, exhaustion, and dangerously high blood pressure, Dr. Morrison said, standing by her bed looking stern. You're lucky it wasn't worse. Lily was there holding her hand, crying. Sophia was in the corner looking devastated. And Rachel, lying in that hospital bed, finally understood something. She couldn't help anyone if she destroyed herself, but she also couldn't stop trying to help. It wasn't in her nature to give up on people. She just had to find a way to make it work. She just didn't know how yet. After Rachel's collapse, things shifted in the apartment. Not dramatically, but enough that you could feel it. Sophia became almost obsessive about helping. She took over all the cooking, stretching their grocery budget further than Rachel thought possible. She walked Lily to school every morning and picked her up every afternoon, saving Mrs. Chen from having to do it. She cleaned the apartment until it sparkled, did laundry, and somehow managed to keep up with her GED classes and her bookstore job. Rachel tried to protest, but Sophia was firm. You've been taking care of me for months. Let me take care of you for once. Rachel was forced to cut back her hours at the hospital. Doctor's orders. It meant less money, which made everything tighter, but at least she wasn't on the verge of collapse anymore. She started eating properly again, sleeping more, taking her blood pressure medication. And she started noticing things about Sophia she'd missed before, like the drawings. Rachel first saw them by accident. She'd been looking for a pen and grabbed a notebook from the coffee table, thinking it was one of Lily's school notebooks. But when she opened it, she found herself staring at a drawing that took her breath away. It was a portrait of Lily, captured perfectly. Not just her face, but something deeper. The drawing showed Lily laughing, her whole face lit up with joy, and somehow Sophia had managed to capture the exact essence of what made Lily who she was. The mischief in her eyes, the gap between her front teeth, the way her hair never stayed where it was supposed to. It was just a pencil sketch, but it felt alive. Rachel flipped through the notebook and found more. Drawings of the apartment, of people on the bus, of the view from their window. Each one was incredible, showing a level of talent that Rachel had never seen outside of art museums. Those are just doodles, Sophia said that evening, looking embarrassed when Rachel brought it up. I've always drawn. It's just something I do. Just something you do, Rachel repeated. Sophia, these are amazing. How long have you been drawing? Sophia shrugged. Since I was little. In foster care, I didn't have much, but I always had paper and pencils. Drawing was the one thing that was just mine, you know? When things got bad, I could draw and disappear into it for a while. Have you ever thought about doing something with this, like art school or selling your work? Sophia laughed, but it sounded sad. Art school costs money I don't have. And who's going to buy drawings from someone like me? Rachel looked at the portrait of Lily again, at the skill and emotion captured there. People who recognize real talent when they see it. Over the next few weeks, Rachel couldn't stop thinking about those drawings. She'd been a nurse her whole adult life, and she was good at it, but she'd never had a gift like Sophia's. This was something special, something that deserved to be seen. She started bringing it up gently. What if you tried to sell some pieces online? Or did commissions? I wouldn't know where to start, Sophia said. What about social media? Instagram, maybe. Artists sell their work there all the time. Sophia looked skeptical, but Rachel could see she was thinking about it. For Rachel's birthday that November, Sophia surprised her. She'd framed a drawing, a portrait of Rachel and Lily together, and given it to her wrapped in newspaper. When Rachel unwrapped it, she cried. Sophia had drawn them sitting on the couch together. Lily curled into Rachel's side, both of them reading a book. It captured a quiet moment from a few weeks earlier, one Rachel hadn't even known Sophia had witnessed. But more than that, it captured the love between them. You could see it in the way Rachel's hand rested on Lily's shoulder, in the peaceful expression on both their faces. "This is beautiful," Rachel whispered. "This is the best gift anyone's ever given me." "You gave me a home," Sophia said quietly. "A real home. This doesn't come close to that, but I wanted you to have something." That portrait went up on the wall in the living room, and everyone who visited commented on it. Patricia from work saw it and immediately asked if Sophia took commissions. Mrs. Chen wanted one of her grandson. Even Mr. Peterson, the landlord, stopped by for a repair one day and spent 5 minutes staring at it. "Your daughter draw this?" he asked. "She's not my daughter," Rachel said. "But yes, Sophia drew it. She's got talent. Real talent." Rachel used her employee discount at the art supply store downtown to buy Sophia a set of professional drawing pencils and a sketchbook for her birthday in December. It wasn't much, but Sophia's face lit up like Rachel had given her diamonds. "You didn't have to do this," Sophia said, running her fingers over the pencils. "I wanted to. Now stop arguing and make something beautiful." Sophia did. She started drawing more seriously, spending every spare moment working on her art. She developed a series she called Invisible People, portraits of homeless individuals she'd met during her months on the street. Each portrait came with a short paragraph about the person, their story, their dreams, what had led them to living on the streets. "These need to be seen," Rachel insisted. "Really, Sophia, people need to see these." Finally, Sophia agreed to try Instagram. Rachel helped her set up an account, take photos of the drawings, write captions. They spent an entire evening on it, Lily helping to choose which drawings to post first. The account started small. A few likes here and there, mostly from people Rachel knew, but slowly, steadily it grew. People started sharing Sophia's post. Art blogs picked up a few of her pieces. Comments rolled in praising her talent, her eye for detail, her ability to capture human emotion. Then one of her drawings went viral. It was a portrait titled Grace, showing an elderly woman Sophia had met at a shelter. The woman was smiling despite missing several teeth, her face lined with decades of hard living, but her eyes were kind. The caption told her story, how she'd been a teacher before losing her husband and falling into depression, how she'd ended up on the streets but still volunteered at soup kitchens when she could, still helped others even though she had nothing. The post got thousands of shares in just a few days, then tens of thousands. People were moved by the portrait, by the story, by the way Sophia saw dignity in someone society had forgotten. Sophia's follower count exploded. Suddenly she had 50,000 followers, then 100,000. The comments were overwhelming, people asking to buy prints, asking about commissions, praising her work. "I don't know what to do," Sophia said, staring at her phone in disbelief. "People want to buy my art, real money, Rachel." This one person offered $500 for the original portrait of Grace. "Then sell it to them," Rachel said, feeling proud and excited. "You earned this." But Sophia looked scared. "What if this is just luck? What if it doesn't last? Then you'll have made some money and gotten your work out there," Rachel replied practically. "But I don't think it's luck, Sophia. People are responding to your talent and your heart. Those portraits show people as they really are, with all their dignity and humanity. That's powerful." Sophia sold the portrait of Grace for $500. Then she sold 3 more drawings that week for $200 each. Suddenly, she had over $1,000, more money than she'd ever had in her life. The first thing she did was try to give it all to Rachel. "For rent, for food, for everything you've done," Sophia said. Holding out the cash, Rachel pushed it back gently. "Keep it, save it. You're going to need it. But you've spent so much on me." "And I'd do it again," Rachel said firmly. "This is your money. You earned it with your talent. Start a savings account. Think about your future." They compromised. Sophia paid Mr. Peterson the next month's rent, bought groceries, and put the rest in a new savings account. But the messages kept coming. More people wanted to buy her art. And then came a message that changed everything. It was from a gallery owner in New York. She'd seen Sophia's Instagram and was organizing an exhibition for emerging artists. She wanted to include Sophia's Invisible People series. The exhibition was in 3 months. Sophia showed Rachel the message, her hands shaking. Is this real? This can't be real. Rachel read it carefully, checked the gallery's website, looked at the woman's profile. It was legitimate. A real gallery in New York City wanted to show Sophia's work. It's real, Rachel said, feeling a mixture of excitement and something else. Worry maybe, or fear of what this might mean. I can't go to New York, Sophia said immediately. I don't have money for that. I don't have anywhere to stay. I've never even been to New York. The message says they cover travel expenses for artists, and you have savings now. But Lily and you and my job at the bookstore? We'll all still be here when you get back, Rachel said, even though part of her wondered if that was true. Sophia, this is an incredible opportunity. You have to take it. What if the art isn't good enough? What if I get there and they realize I'm just some kid who got lucky on Instagram? Rachel took Sophia's face in her hands, making her look directly at her. You're talented. Genuinely incredibly talented. And you've worked hard. You deserve this chance. Don't let fear stop you from reaching for something amazing. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared. I know, Rachel said softly. But do it anyway. That night, after Sophia had gone to sleep, Rachel sat alone in the dark living room, looking at the portrait on the wall. She was proud of Sophia, so proud, but she was also terrified, because opportunities like this didn't come around twice. If Sophia's exhibition went well, she'd have more opportunities. Better opportunities. Maybe opportunities that would take her far away from this small apartment and the makeshift family they'd built. Rachel had sacrificed so much to help Sophia. Her savings, her mother's necklace, her car, her health. She'd done it willingly, without expecting anything in return. But she hadn't expected to love Sophia like a daughter. She hadn't expected that letting her go would hurt this much. Still, she'd push Sophia toward her dreams. Even if it broke her heart. Because that's what love was, wasn't it? Helping someone fly even when you'd miss them terribly once they were gone. The bus ticket to New York cost $80. Sophia stared at it on her phone screen for 3 days before finally booking it. Rachel helped her prepare for the exhibition. They went to the thrift store and found a simple black dress that looked professional. They practiced what Sophia would say to people at the gallery, how to talk about her art, how to handle questions. Lily made a good luck card covered in glitter and drawings of stars. The night before Sophia left, none of them could sleep. They stayed up late eating popcorn and watching movies. Lily nestled between Rachel and Sophia on the couch. Nobody said it out loud, but they all felt it. Something was shifting. After tomorrow, things might never be quite the same. Promise you'll come back, Lily said suddenly, her voice small. Of course I'll come back, Sophia replied. This is my home. You guys are my family. But Rachel saw the uncertainty in Sophia's eyes, and she understood. Because when someone finally gets a chance to escape, to build something better, sometimes coming back feels impossible. Not because they don't love you, but because survival means moving forward, not looking back. Sophia left on a Friday morning. Rachel and Lily walked her to the bus station, both of them hugging her tight before she got on the bus. Rachel slipped $100 into Sophia's bag when she wasn't looking, money they really couldn't spare. But she wanted Sophia to have it just in case. The apartment felt empty without her. Lily kept asking when Sophia was coming home. Rachel kept saying soon, but she didn't really know. The exhibition was scheduled for the following weekend, and Sophia was supposed to stay in New York for just 5 days total. But Rachel had a feeling in her gut that said things weren't going to be that simple. Sophia called the day she arrived, breathless with excitement. Rachel, you should see this city. It's huge and loud, and there are so many people. The gallery is beautiful, really beautiful. I can't believe my drawings are going to be here. I'm so proud of you, Rachel said, meaning it completely. Over the next few days, Sophia sent pictures, her work hanging on pristine white walls, other artists and their pieces. The gallery owner, an elegant woman named Victoria who clearly knew talent when she saw it. Sophia looked happy in every photo, but also a little overwhelmed. Then came the night of the exhibition opening. Sophia called Rachel afterward, crying so hard she could barely speak. What's wrong? Rachel asked, her heart dropping. Did something happen? Everything sold, Sophia sobbed. Every single piece. Rachel, I sold everything. Rachel sat down hard on the couch. That's wonderful. Why are you crying? Because people paid real money for my art. Thousands of dollars. One woman bought 3 pieces for $5,000 each. $15,000, Rachel. I have $15,000, Rachel felt dizzy. $15,000. That was more than she made in 6 months at the hospital. And there's more, Sophia continued, her voice shaking. Collectors want to commission work. Other galleries want to show my pieces. An art school here offered me a scholarship to their summer intensive program. Victoria says I have real potential, that I could make a career out of this if I work hard. That's amazing, Rachel said, and she meant it. But she also felt something cold settling in her chest. You must be so excited. I am. But Rachel, I'm scared too. What if I can't do it? What if this was just luck? It's not luck, Rachel said firmly. It's talent and hard work. You've earned this. They talked for another hour, Sophia sharing every detail of the night. When they finally hung up, Rachel sat in the dark apartment and let herself cry. She was happy for Sophia. Genuinely, truly happy. But she was also grieving because she knew what was coming. Sophia came home 3 days later as planned, but she was different. Not in a bad way exactly, just different. She talked constantly about New York, about the art scene there, about the people she'd met and the opportunities opening up. Victoria wants me to do another exhibition in 2 months, she said at dinner. And the art school program starts in June. It's 3 months long, all expenses paid, and they said they'd help me apply for their full degree program afterward. That's wonderful, Rachel said, pushing food around her plate. You should definitely do it. But that means leaving again. For 3 months. You have to go, Rachel said. This is your dream, Sophia. What about Lily? And you? And my job? We'll be here. And the bookstore will understand. This is too important to pass up. Lily had been quiet during the conversation, unusually so. Finally, she spoke up. Are you going to live in New York forever? Sophia looked stricken. No, I don't know. Maybe someday, but not now. But you want to, Lily said. It wasn't a question. It's complicated, Sophia said quietly. That night, after Lily was in bed, Rachel and Sophia sat in the living room, not quite looking at each other. I found something, Sophia said finally, when I was at the hospital with you after you collapsed. Lily showed me your journal. I didn't mean to read it, but I saw my name and I couldn't help it. Rachel's stomach dropped. The journal where she'd written about the struggles, the sacrifices, the fear and doubt. Sophia, you sold your mother's necklace for Lily's dental work. You sold your car. You've been skipping meals. You collapsed from exhaustion. Sophia's voice was thick with tears. All because of me. Because you took in some stranger and she made your life so much harder. You didn't make my life harder. Circumstances did, and I chose to help you. You didn't force me. But you suffered because of me. You're still suffering. And I didn't even know how much until I read that journal. Sophia wiped her eyes. I owe you everything, Rachel. Everything. And now I have money and opportunities and I don't know how to make it right. You don't owe me anything, Rachel said firmly. That's not how this works. I helped you because you needed help and I could give it. Not so you'd owe me. Not so you'd stay forever. I helped you so you could build a life for yourself. But leaving feels like abandoning you. After everything you've done. Rachel took Sophia's hands in hers. Listen to me. If you don't take these opportunities because you feel guilty, then everything I sacrificed means nothing. I didn't do all this so you could stay stuck out of obligation. I did it so you could fly. So fly, Sophia. Please. What if I'm not ready? Nobody's ever ready. You just have to be brave enough to try. Over the next few months, Sophia's life transformed. More exhibitions, more sales, more recognition. She was invited to art shows in Los Angeles, Miami, Chicago. Her Instagram following grew to over 500,000 people. She was making more money than Rachel had ever seen. And she tried to give most of it to Rachel. Rachel took some, enough to catch up on bills and buy Lily those new shoes she needed. But she insisted Sophia save the rest. You're going to need it for when you move to New York, Rachel said. I haven't decided to move to New York. But you will, and you should. The summer intensive program came and went. Sophia was gone for 3 months and the apartment felt emptier than ever. But she came back afterward and for a little while, things felt almost normal again. Then came the offer that changed everything. A prestigious art institute in Los Angeles wanted Sophia for their full-time residency program. 2 years, all expenses paid, working with master artists and having access to galleries and collectors across the country. It was the kind of opportunity that could launch a real, sustainable career in art. "I have to go, don't I?" Sophia said when she told Rachel about it. "Yes," Rachel said, even though it hurt to say it. "You have to go. It's 2 years. 2 whole years. Then you'll visit during breaks, and we'll video chat. And it'll be hard, but you'll be building your future." "I feel like I'm losing my family all over again," Sophia whispered. "You're not losing us. We'll always be your family. But you're 19 years old, Sophia. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't let fear or guilt hold you back from living it." Sophia was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "I'm going to accept it. But I need to do something first." Over the next few weeks, Sophia worked on something in secret. She wouldn't tell Rachel what it was, just that it was important. She spent hours at her sketchpad, more focused than Rachel had ever seen her. One evening, she came home with tears streaming down her face. "What happened?" Rachel asked, alarmed. "I finished it," Sophia said. "The thing I've been working on. Come with me tomorrow, please. There's something I need to show you." The next day, Sophia took Rachel and Lily to a gallery downtown, one Rachel had never been to. When they walked in, Rachel stopped breathing. The entire gallery was filled with drawings of her, not just drawings, masterpieces. Sophia had created an entire series called "The Woman Who Gave Everything," and every piece was of Rachel. Rachel exhausted on the bus. Rachel making dinner. Rachel laughing with Lily. Rachel sleeping on the couch after a double shift. Rachel selling her necklace at the jewelry store. Though Sophia couldn't have been there for that, she must have imagined it from what she'd read. Each drawing had a caption. Small stories of sacrifice, of love, of choosing to help someone even when it cost everything. The final piece was the largest. It showed Rachel's hands holding both Lily's and Sophia's hands, all three connected. The title was "The Family I Chose, the Family Who Chose Me." Rachel couldn't stop crying. Neither could Lily, though she probably didn't fully understand why. "This whole series sold before the exhibition even opened," Sophia said quietly. "A private collector bought everything for $200,000. Every penny is yours, Rachel, for what you've given me, for the life you made possible." "I can't take that," Rachel said immediately. "You can and you will, because I'm also doing something else with the money from my other work." Sophia handed Rachel an envelope. Inside were papers, legal documents. "I've created a foundation. It's called Rachel's House. It provides housing, mentorship, and resources for foster kids who age out of the system. So what you did for me, we can do for hundreds of other kids." Rachel sat down hard on a bench, overwhelmed. "Sophia, this is too much. It's not enough." "It'll never be enough for what you did. You saved my life, Rachel, not just by giving me a place to stay. You showed me that I was worth saving, that I mattered, that I deserved kindness and care." Sophia knelt in front of Rachel. "I'm going to Los Angeles for this residency, but I'm coming back, because Chicago is my home. You and Lily are my home, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure other kids get the same chance you gave me." Rachel pulled Sophia into a hug, both of them crying, Lily joining in and wrapping her arms around both of them. And Rachel finally understood. She hadn't lost Sophia. She'd helped her become who she was always meant to be. The sacrifice hadn't taken anything away. It had created something beautiful that would last forever. The $200,000 changed Rachel's life in ways she couldn't have imagined. For the first time in her adult life, she wasn't drowning. She paid off every bill, every debt, every late payment that had been hanging over her head for years. She bought a reliable used car, nothing fancy, just something that would get her to work without breaking down. She took Lily to the dentist for a full checkup, got her eyes checked, bought her new clothes that actually fit. But the biggest change was harder to see. It was the way Rachel could breathe again. The constant knot of anxiety in her chest, the one that had been there so long she'd forgotten what it felt like to be without it, finally loosened. She still worked at the hospital, still picked up extra shifts sometimes, but now it was by choice rather than desperation. She could take a day off when Lily had a school play. She could buy groceries without calculating every penny. She could sleep at night without worrying about which bill to pay first. And she set up a college fund for Lily with $50,000. Her daughter would have opportunities Rachel never had. That alone made everything worth it. Sophia left for Los Angeles in September, and the goodbye was harder than any of them expected. They stood at the airport, none of them wanting to let go. 2 years, Sophia said, her voice breaking. But I'll visit. On breaks and holidays. And we'll video chat every week. You better, Lily said fiercely, hugging Sophia tight. And you have to tell me about all the famous artists you meet. I promise, Sophia said, kissing the top of Lily's head. She turned to Rachel, and they just looked at each other for a moment. So much had happened in the 18 months since that rainy night. So much had changed. Thank you, Sophia said quietly, for everything. For believing in me when nobody else did. For giving me a chance. Thank you, Rachel replied, for letting me help you. For showing me that one person really can make a difference. They hugged for a long time, neither wanting to be the first to let go. Finally, Sophia pulled back, wiped her eyes, and headed for security. Rachel and Lily stood watching until she disappeared from sight. Life settled into a new rhythm after that. Rachel and Lily had their routines, their quiet dinners together, their weekend movie nights. But Sophia was still part of their lives, just from a distance. Video calls every Sunday evening where Sophia would show them her latest work and tell them about her classes. Care packages sent back and forth. Photos and updates and the constant thread of connection that made the distance bearable. Meanwhile, Rachel's house was becoming a reality. Sophia had hired people to run it, but she wanted Rachel involved in every decision. They picked the location together over video chat, a large house in a good neighborhood that could accommodate 6 young adults aging out of foster care. They interviewed staff, developed programs, set up partnerships with local businesses for job training. The first residents moved in 4 months after Sophia left for Los Angeles. Rachel was there for the opening, cutting the ribbon alongside the executive director. She thought about that night she'd found Sophia outside the convenience store, shivering in the rain, and felt overwhelmed by how far they'd come. One of the first residents was a 17-year-old girl named Taylor, who reminded Rachel so much of Sophia it hurt. Same quiet determination, same mix of hope and fear in her eyes. Rachel found herself stopping by Rachel's house more often, getting to know Taylor and the other residents, sometimes bringing them dinner or just sitting and talking with them. You're good at this, the executive director told her one day, connecting with these kids. They trust you, Rachel shrugged. I just remember what it's like to struggle, and I know what a difference it makes when someone shows up for you. Sophia's career continued to soar. Her work was featured in major galleries across the country. Articles were written about her, calling her one of the most promising young artists of her generation. She was invited to shows in London and Paris. The scared 19-year-old who'd gotten on that bus to Los Angeles had become confident. Successful, recognized, but she never forgot where she came from. Every piece she sold, she donated a portion to Rachel's house. Every interview she gave, she talked about Rachel and the second chance she'd been given. She became an advocate for foster youth, using her platform to raise awareness about the challenges they faced. And true to her word, she came home for visits. Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break. Each time it felt like no time had passed at all. They'd fall right back into their easy rhythm, cooking together, watching movies, Sophia teaching Lily to draw. 2 years passed faster than Rachel expected. Sophia graduated from the residency program with honors and multiple job offers. She could have stayed in Los Angeles or moved to New York or gone anywhere in the world. Her talent had opened every door. She chose to come home to Chicago. But all the opportunities are in bigger cities, Rachel said when Sophia told her. You could make so much more of your career somewhere else. I can make art anywhere, Sophia replied simply. But Chicago is where my family is. Chicago is where Rachel's house is. Chicago is home. She bought a small studio apartment not far from Rachel and Lily's place. She set up an art studio and started taking on select commissions, while also teaching art classes to the residents at Rachel's house. She didn't make as much money as she could have in New York or LA, but she made enough. And more importantly, she was happy. On the 3-year anniversary of the night Rachel brought Sophia home, they had a small celebration, just the 3 of them, plus Mrs. Chen and Patricia from work, the people who'd been there through all of it. I want to make a toast, Sophia said, standing up with her glass of sparkling cider. 3 years ago, I was homeless, hopeless, and certain I didn't matter to anyone. Then Rachel saw me, really saw me, and she made a choice that changed my entire life. Rachel started to protest, but Sophia held up a hand. Let me finish. People talk about my art, about my success, about how far I've come, but none of it would exist without Rachel. She sacrificed things she couldn't afford to sacrifice. She gave when she had nothing to give. She believed in me before I believed in myself. Sophia's voice cracked. I know I say thank you all the time, but I want you all to know that every good thing in my life, every piece of art I create, every kid we help through Rachel's house, it all goes back to one woman who decided that a scared teenager deserved kindness. There wasn't a dry eye at the table. And I have one more surprise, Sophia continued. She pulled out an envelope and handed it to Lily, who was now 11 years old and growing up too fast. This is for you. Lily opened it, confused, then her eyes went wide. This is a lot of money. It's a full scholarship, Sophia explained.
For college?
Any college you want to attend. Your mom set up a college fund for you, but I wanted to add to it, because your mom gave up a lot for me, and I want to make sure you have every opportunity in the world. Lily started crying and launched herself at Sophia, hugging her tight. You're the best big sister ever. Rachel watched them, these two people she loved so much, and felt her heart might burst. She thought about that rainy night 3 years ago, standing at a crossroads. She could have walked past Sophia. She probably should have, given her circumstances. It would have been easier, safer, more practical, but she'd stopped. She'd helped. And in doing so, she'd gained so much more than she'd given up. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, Rachel stood in her living room looking at the portrait on the wall, the one Sophia had drawn years ago, of Rachel and Lily reading together on the couch. She'd hung Sophia's first attempt at painting right next to it, a small watercolor Sophia had given her last Christmas, and slowly the wall was filling up with memories. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. Thank you for saving my life. I love you, Mom. Mom. Sophia had never called her that before. Rachel stared at the word, tears streaming down her face. She typed back, You saved my life too. I love you, daughter, because it was true. Rachel had been drowning before Sophia came into her life, working herself to death with nothing to show for it except bills and exhaustion. Helping Sophia had given her purpose, had shown her that her struggles meant something, that she could make a real difference. The sacrifice had been real. The exhaustion, the hunger, the collapse at the hospital, selling her mother's necklace and her car, all of it had been hard and painful and frightening, but the reward had been unimaginable. Not the money, though, that had helped. Not even the success of Rachel's house, though, that was wonderful. The real reward was the young woman who'd come into her life broken and afraid, and who'd grown into someone strong and talented and kind. The reward was the family they'd built, the love they shared, the way they'd saved each other in different ways. The reward was knowing that one choice, one act of kindness on a rainy night, had created ripples that would spread far beyond what she could see. Every kid helped by Rachel's house, every person moved by Sophia's art, every life touched by their story, all of it stemmed from that single decision to stop and help someone who needed it. Rachel had given Sophia a chance at life, and in return, Sophia had shown her what it meant to truly live.